What's going on, Belton, Texas? Welcome to episode 120, season 8 of Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. I'm Coach Jason.
I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are throws coaches with the track club, the Thorn Factory. You can go to our website, thethornfactory.com, to check out our bios, but also check out all the options we offer as far as online training, in-personal lessons, video assessments, whatever you need. We can possibly do that for you. Just the information there on the site. But then also, too, we have other coaches as well. We have Coach Jarvis east of the Thorn Factory. If he's in an area where he trains that's close to you, reach out to him. Coach Morgan Knight is out of Abilene, Texas. He runs Knight Power and Performance. He's running the greater West Texas area. So hammer, javelin, shot, disc, whatever you need, reach out to Morgan Knight. And then our new guy, Casey Keeter, north at the Thorn Factory out of the greater Wichita Falls area. If you're a young thrower looking for lessons, shot, disc, possibly hammer or javelin, reach out to him. His information is on the website as well. Then also don't forget about our shopping apparel on the shopping tab of thethornfactory.com, and then our YouTube channel as well. So we want to thank our sponsors for season 8, Texas Track and Field Coach Association. You can go to that website, ttfca.org, for everything in track and field. 2025 indoor meets are starting to post. Some of the outdoor schedules starting to happen. Stuart has probably got something going on for the Winter Classic for 2025 already. So just keep updating that not that resume, but that website, and he'll get stuff posted on there. 4throws.com, quality implements priced right. They have a new website. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. I just ordered a weight trainer, a hammer, a wires and stuff. And what was really cool, it came in a PVC pipe, well packaged and very taken care of. And it's kind of you paying for quality. I've ordered some stuff from some implement companies, and man, they just kind of put it in a box, bend it, and kind of ship it out. Not 4 Throws. They're going to take care of your products and get it out. And so that's the place you need to buy implements from, 4throws.com. Use that code TalkingThrows10.
Here's Maggie.
And this is Maggie, our spoiled Rottweiler. So,
Taking over the show.
Mm-hmm. Then also, to our favorite discus, Fiber Sports Discus, a new way to get the distance. If you're looking for a Fiber Sports Discus, go to 4throws.com. Use that code to get that selection of the right fit for discus for you. I was actually watching the Olympic trials this weekend, or over the past week, and there was a lot of people using the Fiber Sports Discus, getting good results. So the proof is in the pudding. It's kind of supply and demand. So, you might be throwing those high rim discs or some of them center weighted discs. You need something to fly better in the wind. Get that Fiber Sports Discus. And then NTX Timing, that website is ntxtiming.com. Hey guys, if you're looking for someone to get your time and to organize your meet and run it the right way, let Carl Hornback and his staff run that. He's going to get live results. He's going to keep the heat sheets going. The results are going to be posted immediately. He's going to keep everything running smooth while you're kind of handling all the other dysfunction, of the officials and all the stuff going on as well. So that website is ntxtiming.com. Big Frogs, Colleyville, if you need any embroidering, reach out to them. And then also Lifting DFW will take you care of your personal or private or group lifting lessons with that mobile lifting station that we have. Today's guest, this guest on episode 120, just finished a 9th place finish in the 2024 U.S. Olympic trials. He threw I think is a top 5 throw from him, a 20:58. In the qualifying round, he also placed 9th with a best throw of 20:37. He just recently, 2 weeks prior to that, had a PB of 21:18. He's still a strength coach for Garage Strength. And he just posted on Instagram where he benched over 500 pounds. And he's also doing some online coaching. And you can find him on his TikTok website called Big T Throws on his TikTok page. So please welcome to episode 120 to Mon Johnson.
Hello.
What's up, big dude?
Hello.
How are y'all?
We're well, man. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You have grown up and changed since the last time we talked.
I tried just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
The look, it was 4 years ago.
It was 2020.
It was 20.
Yeah, 2020.
We had you on. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, let's get started. Let's talk about what's going on this past week at the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
You placed in ninth and making finals. Kind
Yeah.
of talk to us about kind of what was going on mentally and physically as you were there.
Yeah. So I think going into it, I've been training really well the last few weeks of the season. I had a big PR 2 weeks out, and so it's kind of like I was geared up. I was excited. I think I had something big in me going in. So, going to the meet, the whole focus was, pretty much my goal all season was try to be in the top 8. This is the hardest country to compete in the shot put. I mean, the shot put is probably one of the hardest events to compete in, for the U.S. team. So, that was my goal all season, try to be top 8. I think that would be something that's it was a hard challenge, but I was excited. I was ready for it. So, we got through the prelims, obviously I had some pretty good warm-up throws in the prelims. So I was like, okay, this is good. We started off a little shaky, but, made it through, which is all that's all about. It's those 3 throws, that you're only guaranteed. So, I would say pretty much all outdoor season, that's kind of how I attacked a lot of, my practices, a lot of my meets, was, make the most out of the first 3 throws just because that's all we're guaranteed. And so I did a pretty good job of that. A lot of the season, my best throw came in the first 3 rounds. And so to be able to, go out there, throw 20 meters early on in those first 3 rounds at the trials was really exciting to see. And so it's definitely something that, I want to build off of moving forward. But yeah, I think it was a good weekend, to compete with all those guys. I mean, I think my hometown got a hold of me, and so I did an interview with them, and they posted it everywhere. So a lot of people were talking about it, and we're able to watch. It was cool to see. And I think what I had to explain to them is my sport, the 2 best guys ever are in their prime still competing. And so it's trying to make the Olympics is super tough. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we got to scale your goals to, who you are. And so I think, coming up a little short was a little gut wrenching, but, I was excited just to be out there and compete really well at this meet. So
Is that something that kind of maybe you identified in your training since you've left, Texas and went up there and started working with garage strength of maybe changing the strategy warm up to have better success early in round 1, 2, or 3?
I think so a little bit. Yeah. I mean, when I was in college, a lot of the meets that we went to, it was I might've been the best thrower there, or the second best thrower there. So it's you can kind of just pity and dabble your way through the rounds and get 3 more throws. Whereas now it's at the professional level, you have to be able to throw far in the first 3 rounds because that's all you're guaranteed. And so I think that's something we practiced a lot the last few weeks with Dane. And it was just we had a lot of mock meets and practicing okay, this is, he'd say a distance out there and, we'd put a cone there and it's yo, you got to throw over this line, so within 3 throws. And so that's something that I practiced a lot. And it definitely helped a lot of outdoor season because it's like I said, that's all you get. And I think that's something that if I had to go back and change, that would be the one thing I would change or have worked on more because I just started doing that this season. Whereas before it was well, let's just, if you're amped up, you should be fine. If you're amped up, you got enough caffeine in you, if your technique's close enough, you might be able to hit something. Whereas now it's no, you need to have, it's dialing in the warm-ups. Okay, how many warm-ups are we going to get? How many attempts are we going to get in the warm-ups? How many full throws? And then okay, I practice that in training too. It's all right, give me 3, I tried 3 warm-up, 3 full warm-up throws or 3 full reverses. Okay, my first comp throw was my best or what wasn't my best. Or so I tried 2 reverses, just try a bunch of different combinations just to see what worked. And then we finally found something that did work. And so I was able to come out a little bit earlier, and hit some big throws. So I think that's practicing that, at this level has been really helpful. And it allowed me to kind of push my way and kind of, hit some bigger marks, I think, this season.
So just for us laymen or high school training.
Yeah.
So are you would you even do a stand throw now? Or are you straight half turns or straight fulls in those 3 attempts?
So what has worked for me is 1 stand. If we have 30 minutes and there's a lot or less throwers, maybe I'll take 2, but a stand throw isn't my forte. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. So I'll take a stand throw. Actually, I really would just do a lot of flicks into the air or flicks into the ground. So that's how I kind of mask not having to do as many stand throws. So I'll take a stand and then I'll go right into non-reverses. Typically I'd get in the ring for my stand throw and I would do a dry throw first.
Yeah.
And then take my stand. And then I do a dry throw before my non-reverse, take the non-reverse. And so my sweet spot has been one stand, I think 2 non-reverses, and then 3 reverses. I've done well with just 2 reverses if that's the case too, just depending on the timing. But if I can get in the ring roughly 4, maybe 5 times, sometimes 6, if that's like the best case scenario, then usually that sets me up for success.
Wow.
Nice.
So for our listeners, so when you after that stand in those 2 non-reverses,
Yeah.
you know, what are you trying to feel in that non-reverse that's going to carry over into that full?
The biggest thing for me in the non-reverse is just getting out the back of the ring. I know, like, if I can hit positions out the back of the ring and through the middle and find like a good wrap position, then when I get to the reverse with all that extra speed and like bringing the right side through, I know I can have a good throw. And so the back of the ring is like the biggest thing for me. It's like if I have balance there and everything feels smooth and I can feel my feet on the ground, I can feel where my left arm is doing, then that usually sets me up to have some good reverses. And like I said, the reverses are like, one thing that I tried this year too is I usually would have like my warm-up shirt on over my jersey, but now I take all my reverses like full comp uniform. I don't yell during those warm-ups, but it's like, but I do, like, I'm like fully focused. It's like, this is round 1 and the movement has to be, at 90%. So that way, that if it's at 90% and everything feels good, well, if something's a little off, I can fix it because I'm going what my comp speed would be. I think sometimes in the past I would take my warm-ups as like, this is just a warm-up. I don't need to go, all out. But then you hit that first throw and you're like, the nerves start to set in a little bit. You're a little jittery, and then you're like, you start pulling back away from stuff. So it's like, get that out the way in the warm-ups, and that allows for those first 3 throws to be a little more aggressive, and you can still save them.
Wow. Well, I was going to ask this later on, but since you brought it up as far as comp shirt,
Yeah.
where do I get a yoked shirt, and what was the rationale for wearing that, and where did you find it?
Yeah, so that's actually the Garage Strength summer apparel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was part of we had the swole shirts last year, and this year they went with the yoked design. And so that was probably one of the biggest questions I got from the weekend.
Was it really?
On the board, they were like, "Yo, what is that? What does that mean? Where is it from? Where do I get it?" And so it was pretty cool to be able to, like, display that and knowing it's a Garage Strength thing. GarageStrength.com. That's where we got it from. So
all right. So is there like a code to T-Mon?
I know. I gotta talk to the guys to see if I can get a code so that way we can set y'all up.
Okay. We got like, for every shirt you get like a dozen eggs or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a real PA thing right there. That would be funny. That would be funny.
For sure. I saw that shirt in the warm-ups when they did the introduction. I was like, look at him.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. I knew I brought it because I was like, I'm gonna wear this on day 2 because that's when most people are gonna watch. That's when the stream is gonna be a little more popular. So I was like, I gotta make sure I'm throwing day 2, and that that's right in the center so everybody can see it.
Awesome. All right. So GarageStrength.com. I'm gonna have to go get me one.
Perfect.
Dude.
Yeah. They got a couple different colors too, so it can work with anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you threw that 258 on that second throw.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of had to think in the finals that might have got you in that 8th spot, And Tark I think he was behind you at that point. So
he was in 9th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you were kind of sitting right there, right?
Yeah. So I think that second throw, 2058, technically it didn't feel that good, but where it landed, I was okay. That's good. And then I saw the distance, and that puts me in 8th, and I was like, okay, we're right there. We're really close. But I knew Tark still had another throw. I knew a couple other guys that were under me still had another throw. So, you can't get too complacent or try to think like, you're in the safe zone because, everybody's good. If you're in that top 12, you're the best in the country. So, I mean, Tark goes in, he goes 20-85 or something like that. And I was like, I knew that was in my wheelhouse. I knew I had that in me. So, I tried to get the clap going on the 3rd round. It didn't work out too well. The crowd was still deeply invested in the finishing of a 1,500-meter race, I think. So, so I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm looking, I can kind of see my time, and I'm like, I think I'm coming close to like 30 seconds left. And then 20 seconds, I'm like, I got to just take this throw. So the guys that were back, in the comp, some of those guys were clapping. I can see like the people that were on the curve on the backside.
Yeah.
I could hear them a little bit, but I was like, come on, guys, like you're right here at the finish line. Like, give me some love or something. I know I'm not Ryan Krauser, but come on now. So, I was still excited though. I think my biggest takeaway was like, I left it all out there. Even on that last throw, like, it was 20-40 something. Like that's still a pretty good throw for me at this time of my career. So, I was excited for it. I think that was a big thing, is like knowing I didn't pull any punches. I could have took it, saved, but I got to save it. I got to make sure I get it in. There's no point in going as hard as I can if I can't save it. You can't think about those things. You got to just go out and really send it and just see what happens. Let the ball land where it goes. So, it was cool. Like I said, we were right there. We wanted 3 more throws, but I mean, it also just shows how talented, everybody in the country is. Like, you got to throw 21 meters just to get 6 throws at a championship event. So
have you reflected, because your last 5 throws, competition throws, were all over 20 meters?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did see that. That's something that I'm really excited about. This was my best showing at a championship event. I placed 1 place higher than I did in 21. I finished 10th in 21 for his 9th year, but I threw 40 centimeters further. So knowing that 5 out of my 6 measured throws with no fouls were all pretty much we're all over 20 meters. Like, that's a big win right now, and it's definitely something that I can take through the rest of this year, then going into next year.
Yeah, and so great segue. So go ahead. What is the plans for 2025? Are you going to stick this out and might try again in 2028?
Yeah, that's always a question. I think the big thing, the big thing I think is like, can I stay healthy? Because there's always little injuries or stuff that pops up. That's just how this sport is. That's how any professional sport is. But it's like, knowing I'm right there, knowing I'm like slowly getting better each year. It's like, you got to try, still young in the sense like, I think in 28, I'll be 30 or maybe 31.
Yeah.
So it's like, you still, at this point, like the guys that are on the team are around, Peyton's 28 or 29, and then Joe and Ryan are 31, 34, 35, whatever. So it's like, I think across the board with a lot of the throwing events, the people that have made those teams are all 28, 29, 30. Like, it is the longevity thing. You got to be able to stick it out. So I'm excited, at least for next year. There is 4 spots. Like, yeah, it's tough. I know you probably got to throw 2180 to try to make it, but it's like, I think the last few weeks of what I've been working on technique-wise, and then you just, continue getting stronger, continue working on the little things. Like, who knows what 8 more months of fixing those things could set up going forward. So, like I said, Worlds has 4 spots next year, and then 26 there's an indoor Worlds. Technically, it's like a gap year, but it is an indoor Worlds, and then 27 there's another Worlds, and then 28 obviously. So it's like, there's still events and major championships to try to compete for and try to put yourself in position to try to make. So, it's like you gotta give it a chance. You don't, if I'm gonna hang it up, I want to make sure I hang it up when I'm on top. And if I'm broken or if I'm just not happy about the sport, like that's the way to go out versus like, I was right there. So it made me like a lot more hungrier as I've reflected on the ending of that meet and everything.
Just talking to you real quickly, man, you seem so much more comfortable within your own self and your own skin. And I would almost kind of say the Texas boy might have turned to a PA boy a little bit. You seem very comfortable in that world.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've been here almost 5 years now, so it's like, I kind of got invested with a little bit of the lifestyle, but deep at heart, I'm still a Texas guy. Like I still always, when I'm back home, like it's like this is home. This is just like PA is just where I'm at, but Texas is always going to be home for me. So it's funny because I tried to come back and compete at Texas Relays this year, but they were real closed off with their entries and things like that. So hopefully my 21 meter throw will open that door back up for me so I can get into Texas Relays, because I love competing there, and I think it would be cool just to have like my family and friends and people like that come out and watch.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you burnt your Cowboys jersey and got you a new Philly jersey.
Oh, yeah. Not yet. No, I'm surprisingly I'm a Giants fan, so I don't. I stay away from the Philly guys. Those fans are pretty crazy. I mean, it's a mix between those and Cowboy fans. Like, who is the most wild? But Yeah, I do love talking football and just messing with everybody that's a Philly fan when they lose or win. So it's always a fun time.
Yeah. One thing that's I've noticed too is like, dude, you've put on some mass, and I've on your Instagram,
Yeah.
you finally benched over 500,
Yeah, I did. I
and
did. Yeah, that
so
was a good time. Yeah.
so your strength, man, is just skyrocketed since up in that kind of controlled environment versus
Yeah.
what you came out of Texas at or when you first moved up here. Kind of
Yeah.
what's been that training regiment, for you to kind of get that strength, and is that where you're seeing these higher marks from maybe your PA from high or college into being a
Yeah.
professional ranks?
I think a lot of it was just so we typically would train 3 days a week. Like we've done a lot of different training where it's like 5 days of lifting, 2 lower body days, 2 upper body days, and like an athlete day of like plyometrics and stuff. And then we went down to 4, and then this year we've just done 3. Like we have a lower body day, we have an upper body day, and our athlete day where it's like plyometrics and stuff. So those days are a little bit longer. Like there's a couple more exercises in there that have a little more sets, a little more reps. The intensity is a little bit higher. So you are taking a little bit longer in the weight room. But I think the way Dana set it up is like allowed us to kind of feel heavy weights, feel light weights, move things fast as we can. We messed around with some VBT stuff, velocity-based training, just to try to see bar speeds. And I think that's definitely helped, just seeing like, okay, I can move, 405 on the bench at a certain speed that would equate to now seeing a 500-pound bench if it's a little bit heavier, So being able to see those correlations have definitely helped. But yeah, a lot of it too is just like dialing in nutrition. I think that's one thing that I fixed a lot over the last few years. Definitely the last 2 years is just like making sure I'm staying on top of my protein, getting good carbs, making sure they're timed around the training times that we're outside and inside lifting, and just staying on supplements that I know are safe and good for me. So doing that stuff has definitely been a big help. And I think that's something that when I was in college, I followed, but I wasn't like fully accountable with it, just because we didn't have someone always telling us like, yo, you got to do this, you got to do that. And so I think that's one thing that I definitely got more invested in, just learned a lot more about it. And, that's the biggest thing is like each year I've learned a little bit more about the sport, about, myself, about just everything. And I think picking bits and pieces and putting that into my training has allowed me to really start to see those results. But yeah, this year, like strength wise, like it just kind of, everything blew up. I think a lot of it too, just mindset too. It was like, I know I need to hit this, and this if I want to get to here.
Yeah.
And so like in college or early times of being in PA, it was like, oh, I mean, 500-pound bench, like you got to do that. And I was like, my bench is 440. Like, how am I going to get there? Like that's, those trying to bridge those gaps are so much wider than what you may think. And so it's like, it was psyching myself out sometimes. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. But then it's like, you just had to take time, and I think, this year realizing like, I don't have to travel as much. We had meets at home that helped, so it's like when you're staying at your home base, you can really just train, versus like, I need to go travel here every single weekend, like in college. Like some of the college kids came back and they're like, yeah, I competed, 8 weeks in a row. I'm like, well, how do you do anything? Like there's no time to like focus one on yourself or any of your training. And then you're like, you can only hope you hit a PR and like meet forward, but really you need to be PRing at the end of the year. Like, how do you balance all that stuff? And so being able to figure that out has been like a major help in all those strength gains and, distance gains in the circle.
Wow. Can I ask about your weight? Has your weight stayed the same over the last 5 years, or are you,
It fluctuated here and there. Like when I moved here, I was a little bit lighter, and it was like, that can help, but that's not, the strength wasn't there. I was around like 285, but the strength wasn't there, and body composition wise, it wasn't as advantageous. And then after 21, I was like, these dudes are all massive. I was like, I think I competed at the trials at like 290, 295. And I was like, Joe Kovacs is, who knows how big I don't know. He might be 350 for all I know. But like, some of the other guys that were in that 3 to 6 or 8 range, like those guys were all 325, 330 pounds. And so I tried to push up to 315, and I was like, I was getting hurt. It just wasn't working out. So I think at the trials and pretty much right now, I competed around like 303, 305-ish. And that's been like the best for me. It's funny because I feel like I'm heavier, but then I get on the scale and I'm not. And so it's like, that's a good thing. It's like, that means you got a lot more muscle mass than you have, fat-free mass or fat mass. So it's
Yeah.
like that's always been a good thing. So I try to weigh myself typically once or twice a week at the same time each week. And that's been definitely, I can see like, all right, if any trends are up or down. And definitely right now when it's hot outside, it's like trying to track that a little bit more just so I can I'm hydrated enough. Because, if you're not hydrated, then, you really can't do much after that. So yeah, the weight stuff is like, I try to track that as much as I can, like I said, once, twice a week, but and just kind of go from there with it.
I'm kind of in your athlete day in that 3-day workout. Are any cardio, bike, stationary
So
bike?
yeah, in the fall for 8 to 12 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, I think we'd have like 1 or 2 days where it would be just like steady state cardio on the bike, on the stationary bike. So one day we would do like 10 minutes over like 55 RPMs. And then another day would be like intervals. And so we do like 2 or 3 sets of 8 intervals, 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off. And so that's also really helpful. I like that a lot in the fall just because, we take like a 2 to 3 weeks off. And so trying to build some work capacity back just to be able to, one, handle all the throws we're taking, and two, being able to handle the volume in the weight room. So that's kind of what we've been doing. Yeah, that would be like I said, like once or twice a week. And then we would sprint 8 to 10 reps, 15 yards or so, as well, once a week on that athlete day typically. And so that's a cool thing with us. Like the sprinting, we would do sleds, we would do, agility stuff. Like we would have some fun with it. Similar like what you would see, like almost like football players would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would throw that stuff in there just because all of us played football or played some other sport, and it's competitive. It's like we try to get away sometimes from doing the traditional lift, let's just sprint for 10 yards. It's like, no, let's throw a tennis ball and go run and chase after it. So it's like, building hand-eye coordination, building stuff that's a little bit different, I think is always fun. And yeah, we do that a lot in the fall. And then once we get, winter, when it's 20 degrees outside, that stuff starts to slowly go away.
Man, the one thing I love about what y'all are doing, at Garage Strength, and just the group that y'all have, the discus throwers,
Yeah.
the shot putters, but even a high school league. So do you have like a designated assigned training partner that kind of holds you accountable? Because it seems like there's a strong support group there, but
Yeah.
is there one person that's kind of like, all right, man, me, you, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m., let's go after it?
Yeah. So my training partner, Eric Favors, he
Okay.
competes for Ireland. Yeah, he's actually in Europe right now, I think. I don't know. He might be coming back. I don't know. So I haven't seen him for the last like month and a half because he's in his European season.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in the fall, the early spring, like me and him are like, we're right there, So, for us, it's like, he's got similar goals that I have, given he's a European athlete, so it's a little bit easier to make those major championship events. But it's like, regardless, we both know like the goal is to try to throw 2150. Like that's the standard. And if you throw that, then you put yourself in a different tier moving forward. And so, yeah, we push ourselves, day in and day out, pretty much 5 days a week. And then obviously, we have all the discus throwers are right there with us too. So we all do train at the same time. Every now and then some of us have to change based off of work schedules, but typically there's all, 10 of us are in the weight room, in the circles training together. And that's always cool. I think one thing it's always cool is you seeing Sam Mattis, he's one of my closest friends. So knowing that he just made the Olympics and like seeing, the grind that he had to get to where he's at, it's like, that's something that pushes all of us. Cause it's like, everybody wants to make a team. That's the whole goal. That's why we do it. There's no other reason why we'd be doing it. And it's like, you have someone right there, that is the best in the country that's doing what he's doing. We're all training together. And so it's like, that's the push right there that we get, and that you're immersing yourself in. And I mean, that's what's going to get you better.
Yeah. And I think that comes from the top, from Dane and his stuff, and trickle down into that.
Yeah.
Everything that he's been able to do.
Yeah, we have meetings every few weeks just talking about like, how training's going, just as groups,
as a group
yeah,
meetings,
it's a big
like
group,
a free round table.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's a big group. We'll sit down, pretty much he'll hook his phone up to the TV and be like, this is what we need to fix, this, and this. He'll explain everything of like what the program's supposed to look like, what he's expecting out of that. with everybody, how he wants the discus throwers to train, how he wants the shot putters to train, like, certain implements that we're throwing, what he's looking for with that. And so it's the communication line is definitely open. I text him. I mean, I work under him as a strength coach, but I text him about my training pretty much every day. We just do voice messages or send videos, and it's just discussing all the time, like how we can get better and what we need to keep working on and fixing. And so I think that's one thing that's different about our group that I don't know if there really is any other groups in the country that do that. I think it's really cool. Like the high school group that we have, they do it too. Like Coach Weeks will sit them down and be like, yo, this is what I want to work on this week, next week, moving forward. And so I think that's just having that communication line open is what's going to really bring out, the culture and help push the envelope for everybody.
Yeah. Do you ever sit back in those meetings and like just think about, oh my God, the people that you're talking with and the success that they've had, and you're part of that, and you're like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. This is something I'm going to remember the rest of my life.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's sometimes you take it for granted every now and then, because it's like we'll go to meets as a group and people will be like, oh my God, that's the Garage Strength crew. And it's like, you don't think, you don't think about it. Like, what we're doing and, the content that we put out, like people are watching that stuff. And so it's like, knowing that that's what it is, when we're in those meetings and when we're training, it's like, this person has thrown 20 meters or this person has thrown 66. Like, it is something that you don't think about all the time. But then, like I said, when you go and you're walking through the trials and a high school kid's like, yo, can I get your autograph? It's like,
Oh, that's cool.
Man, that's something that's the other side of the sport that you have to like really, be happy for and enjoy, and try to push that part forward, just because, one day like those same kids might be in our shoes, and be able to continue pushing that for them. So it is really cool to see and be a part of.
Wow. Now, so you're still doing the strength coach under him and that stuff? Because I know you have a TikTok now called Big T Throws, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that was something so our video guy, Jason, he's been doing a lot of the interviews on ThrowSU of the athletes at the trials. So he was like, yo, you got to post on social media. And I was super hesitant about it. I was like, I don't really know about it. And I think in 2020, during the lockdown, I was like, I had like 1,500 videos on my phone of just like lifts, throws, whatever. And so I was like, I'm gonna start pushing this a little bit. And Eric Favors also was on there too, so he was telling me about it. And so I started posting on there, and then it just kind of like during the track season, it just kind of took off, because that's like the age of high school kids these days. Everybody's on TikTok scrolling for hours on end. And I was like, I'm already a coach. Like, this is easy. Like, how do I do a stand throw? Oh, that's a 1 minute video. It takes a minute to make, So I started pushing that a little bit, and it got some traction. Like I said, it's got 35,000 followers on there. So that's like super cool to see. That's another one. Like I was at a meet last year, I think in Memphis, and like 5 kids were like, yo, can I get your autograph? Can we take a picture? And they was like, I follow you on TikTok. And I was like, no way. Like it was crazy. And so it's like, knowing like, I was different places and people see it, it's like, that was really cool. So yeah, I just try to, for me, when I see it, I'm like, I record everything. I'm just like, I'll just put it on here, make it a collage. Oh, this is training from today. People, oh, that's really cool. Or a big throw. And I'm like, a lot of people, they were able to see like the transition of the outdoor season, of like how I started to get better. And it was like, when I finally posted my trials video, they were like, oh, I knew this was coming. Like, everything was falling in line. And so it's like, you have this fan base of everybody watching you compete and train. And I was like, that's really cool. So I'm excited to just keep going with it and keep pushing that.
Yeah. So are you doing a lot of traction of training online and not, do you
find a little bit?
Okay.
A little bit every now and then. Like, so my role with Garage Strength is I just do on-site athlete training for the most part. So I have a couple online kids that, like the spillovers that the other guys can't do. So I used to do it a lot, but, just for me to like focus on a certain area, it was like online or on-site training. And that's been going really well. So I coach a lot of football players, basketball, softball, a lot of different athletes, and then some general clients as well that are older but compete in like masters or, other sports. And so that's been my biggest thing. And so like, that's part of it too. Like when I was doing the whole coaching stuff, knowing that TikTok was asking for like just different videos, I was like, it was super easy to do, because it was like, I do it every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my thing. I'm doing that 40 hours a week along with training 20 hours a week. So it's like, it's a 60-hour work week when it comes to my life at the moment. But I enjoy it. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Wow.
So awesome.
Wow. So I have to ask too, do you have sponsorships? Is that something working down the road? Are
That's
you looking
definitely
at that now?
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to get into. I mean,
Okay.
every now and then, companies will send me products just to try, just based off. That's what TikTok has helped with. I've got a lot of supplements or training gear that's definitely helped. But yeah, definitely something that's like, monetarily, would help
Yeah.
moving forward, sponsorship wise. So I think just based off how the sport has gone and from who I've talked to, like, if you're in that top 5 in the country, then you put yourself in that position. But even then, someone like Peyton Otterdahl, I was talking to him, and it's like, I was hearing from he was saying, like, it's even hard for him to get sponsorships. So it's like, he's a guy that's going to the Olympics, the second Olympics. He's the top 10 thrower in the world. So it's weird with how the sport goes in terms of what people are really pushing for. If you're not on the track or if you're not, in the sand pit, like, throwers, sometimes it's a little bit tougher for them to get the love that you feel like they deserve. So I think for us, it's like, pushing towards powerlifting, pushing towards strongman, Highland Games. I think those are the sports that a lot of throwers we've talked about. It's like, that's the realm that we have to push into, because those are big, strong people that want to see things go far,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a lot of it with the track stuff, just moving forward. It's like, track athletes don't necessarily want to see throwers. Like, distance running and throwing is two opposite sides of the spectrum. Why is there so many distance runners who, not throwing any shade or anything, but like could be 80th in the world, have a high ranking sponsorship versus a thrower that's 10th in the world has nothing. It doesn't, stuff like that doesn't make sense. But that's the masses. Running is a mass sport. A lot of people can do it versus throwing is a niche sport. Not many people can do it. So I think that's something like, I want to continue pushing with my own platforms. It's like, making funny content about, strength training and throwing and things like that. Like, that's the stuff that gains traction in its own realm and will help, I think, kind of build that sponsorship avenue later on.
Yeah. Do you know the name Kyle Lilly?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Kyle's the throws coach at Air Force, was at Sac State.
Yes.
And like, he's a strong man, and that's kind of his hobby. But dude, he's like world ranked and posts a lot of video on training and stuff. And I've had the same kind of conversation with him in that scenario where financially he does okay. So if he ever doesn't have the coaching gig, him and his family will quote unquote be kind of okay. Now, longevity wise, he's getting older and, time will tell. But, that I've heard that conversation with other people before, that getting into those strongman Highland games. So have you even done one or tried it?
I've never done one before. I've definitely watched it a couple times. There's the Celtic Classic is like an hour from us, and it happens every summer. And so I've seen that a few times. And it's insane. Like, it's like, those are the same guys that, like, they do what we do, just Highland Games, So it's like, that's the stuff that's like really cool to see, because, they want to compete, and it builds a huge crowd. Like, there's so many people that come out and watch it, and it's like, they're throwing logs and stones and hay bales. It's completely different, but it's like, it's very similar to what we do. When you start to explain to the regular person, like, yo, this is a 16-pound ball, the size of the heaviest bowling ball, and it's going, 70 feet. Like that's something that if you explain it the right way and tell people, like, that's free throw line to the other three, or the goal on a basketball court, like, that's really far, people start to understand it a little bit better, and I think it would definitely gain traction a little bit quicker. So,
welcome back, track people. This is Brandon, owner of fourthrows.com. We're a fast and growing track and field company that specializes in the throws. With our speed shipping, implement warranties, and rock bottom prices on javelins, discuses, shot puts, and hammers, call us up today to talk directly to one of the owners at fourthrows.com.
That's awesome. So family update, man. Your mother's a doctor. What's been going on with your family, personal life? Have you met somebody yet?
Not yet. We're still looking around. I think this year was like the last 4 months. It was like,
I know.
He doesn't have time to work so much.
it's definitely tougher, when you're like you're either traveling or you're training or you're in the gym. Like it's to get out and do those things you don't want to like put any added stress on you. I think
Yeah.
that's something that I've talked about with a couple other guys. It's like, if you're either locked down and you're set, or you're like out actively searching, but then it's like, is that taken away from what you really want to do? So
Yeah.
that's an off season thing. That gets stuff done later on in the off season.
I
But
love
yeah,
that.
but yeah, my mom, she's a doctorate now. She's a doctorate in education. So that was really cool that I was
Awesome.
able to go down and see that, see her graduate. And, I was like, I think I said I was in a room of really, really smart people, so many people that were getting their doctorates and whatever their respected field. And so that was really cool. She's got a new job at one of the actually at Killeen High School now. So she's working in the admin as an admin role there. So that's really cool to see. So I'm excited for that for her. And then, my brother, he just finished up playing college football. And so he's doing a couple different side gigs, just trying to figure out what he wants to do. And then my sister, she's going to local college just to get herself in the door, just starting that realm out. So I'm excited for all of them. They're all doing really well, just trying to find their footing, in their life and in their space. And I got mine. So it's really cool to see.
Were they able to come to Oregon to watch the trials?
Not this time. They did come in 2021, which was awesome. It was my first outdoor championships. They were right front and center. I think I can't remember. I think on NBC, they were Sha'Carri was running 100. She had just won, and I think my mom was sitting in the front. They had like shirts with my face on it, so that was really cool to see. That so it was exciting that they were there for that one. But this time they didn't make the trip. I think the biggest, which is something that's been discussed the last few years, is like the travel costs to get up there are insane. It's tough, especially to bring a family of 3. But they were able to support from afar. They had all my family were watching. They all got together and got to see it. And so I think that was something in itself, just to know like everybody was tuned in to see me throw, and they were able to watch 2 days. That's always a big plus. So yeah, it was cool. She said though, like in the future, she definitely wants to be able to come to another championship event. When I went to Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Throw Series earlier this year, where Alekna broke the world record, I competed there, and they were able to drive up for that. So that was cool.
Awesome.
They were able to see me throw. That was the first time they saw me throw since the trials. So I was excited for that.
So did they make it up to PA? Have they been up there yet?
They came up right after I moved in December of 2020. They came up for Christmas time. So that was really exciting. And then, COVID hit, and then everybody was off doing their different things. So they haven't been up here yet, but I think they definitely want to come back soon.
Gotcha. Can we talk about, we go kind of glazed over your PA or PB 2118.
Yeah.
Man, because let's be honest, you went ape shit after you.
It's funny. So
dude, you were pumped up.
Yeah, I think it was. So I was talking to Sam Weeks. He's a high school throws coach. That's discus thrower here. I was like, man, I'm waiting for. I don't have those moments very often. And I was like, it was a long time since I've done something like that. But it was like that throw just kind of like. It was so, when I threw 2087 back in 2021, looking back, it was like, I didn't really know how I did it. That was my first time ever going over 20 meters. And I did it like 3 times in that competition. And my best was 2087, almost 21 meters. So it's like, I pretty much had like a meter PR. My PR before that was 1993. Then I went 2087. So it's like skipping over so much distance. I had no idea really how I got there, And so it was like, I had an idea, but I was like, it was just like, okay, 2022, let's just chase that again. Came up short. 2023, we're getting closer, but we're not fully there. And so it was like that throw, like all the emotions of like, trying to get there, trying to claw back to get to, that distance was like, it just all came out. Because I knew it. I was like, I opened up that meet, surprisingly, with my old PR through 2087 on my first throw. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I was like, I might be in for something big today. And so it was like, I had my second throw. I think I went 20-40 in the third round. Something we went back to earlier, I was talking about is, trying to throw 4 in the first 3 rounds. So, coming off those first 2 throws, I was like, let's clap it up. We had a lot of energy there. It was a last chance meet. So a lot of guys came out. A lot of guys that were trying to hit the standard too. And so it was really cool to see. I set it up really well and it went. And, I was just like, man, this is something. This was like, it finally put me in like a different headspace and a confidence boost. Like, okay, if I can do this, one, do it in the first 3 rounds, but 2, do it as close as I did to the trials. Like, this will set me up really big going into the trials. And so it was awesome. My 4th round throw, I went 21.03. And so it was I had 2 throws over 21 meters that day, and then like 3 throws over 20.70. So it was like, everything was lining up, and it was just really exciting to see because, 21 meters is like, everybody wants to throw 20 meters, but in the US, that's like how 19 meters used to be. Like everybody's, it's like a shrug. Yeah, it's like, oh, another 20-meter thrower, cool. But it's like, you throw 21 meters, that's like, okay, you're putting yourself in that that next tier. Obviously there's the 22s and 23-meter guys, but like 21 meters is like, all right, you put yourself as like, there's someone there. There's something there, and that's something that you can build off of moving forward.
Who was the guy that you kind of bear hugged and shook your hand down the right sector line?
That was so one of the dads, Brady Miter. He's a shot putter here at NPA. He threw 63 something. I think he's going to the University of Iowa. And his dad, he was out there shagging, and I've known him pretty much since I moved here, because his son had started training right around when I moved here, and so I coached him a little bit online before they started. And so it's like I knew him for a little while, and he was like, man, that's it. That was the one. Like, it was just like, he knew where it landed, and it was like, oh, you're there. And so it was really cool to see, have him out there. And even like the guys that were marking, and then the guy pulling the tape, he was like, yo, that's it. Like, I looked over and I kind of saw it. I was like, okay, I can see 20 on the tape. That might be 21. I don't know. But I'm like, when he called it out, I was like, yeah, it was it, so it was really exciting to see. I think, like I said, I'm not a big rah type of guy. I like to get active a little bit, but I'm not like, but that moment I was like, yeah, it was like a relief, because it was like so many years of just trying to get to a certain spot, and, finally getting there was awesome.
I got one question for you. I'm curious what you're going to say. Is, since you've been with Dane and he's kind of supervising your training, is ball location, where it hits in the sector, important? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, from where you used to throw to where it is now, where you're getting your distance, it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
But also the height or trajectory of the ball. Because I noticed at the trials, like, you threw kind of flat, and when the camera was kind of spin, you were kind of like up, and you kind of felt you're pushing, out over the toe board.
Yeah. I think that's something that I've had to try to figure out the last few years. When I'm really flat on the throw, that typically means I'm like shifting right away into my left side at the front. I'm not staying back as well, because when I stay back, then I can rotate and then get my shoulders more square and get up on the ball. Versus, when I shift really bad, everything goes flat. And so even at the trials, like, I had some throws that were a little more left sector than I'd want them to be. And I think that was just being a little antsy. Just if I'm a little more patient out the back of the ring, just really trying to get my right leg as wide as I can, that can set up a little better of a trajectory and, like, set up through the middle and front. So that's definitely something we've talked about. Dane was like, you can go middle to right, or middle to left, I'm sorry. Then that kind of means, like, all right, you're putting yourself in a good spot. Everything's going out into the ball. Whereas, in the past, I've had throws where I'm like way left sector, and I'm like, okay, that means my left leg is super deep. Yeah. I don't really throw right sector too often, every now and then, but that just means I just try to punch it as fast as I can. And, that's not always the best thing to do. So, we definitely talked about, in the fall, when we talk about location, like, I would put logs in the, like, where I want to be at. So if it's like there's left sector here, I put logs here to make sure I'm throwing here, So, and I think that was able to tell me, like, all right, my left foot is getting down in a good spot. That means I'm getting wide out the back of the ring like I want. All right, I'm lined up. Versus if I'm way on the other side of those logs, then that means something's going off at the back, or my left foot's laid at the front, like little things like that. And so it was just like, little stuff like that I tried to do this year that definitely started to showcase later on. Like, in the moment, it was like, that doesn't even make any sense, or that looks kind of wonky, but it ended up working.
Well, as a young thrower at Texas State, did you understand that? Because I'm curious, because we coach high school kids, and for them to understand the ball is a reaction of what you're doing, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's like one in and out the other.
Yeah.
And it's like what? It's
Yeah.
like they don't grasp that. And I'm just kind of curious as a
When
coach
does that
now,
click?
but also professional athlete, have you kind of full circle and learned that? But do you see that as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think when I was in college, it was like I had a grasp of technique. I had a grasp of ball location and little stuff like that. But it was like deep down, it was like I just want to throw it as hard as I can and see how far I can get it.
Yeah.
So it was like I was no different from the high school kids that you're coaching, But now it's like as I got older, I'm 12 years into sport. It's like there's little things like you have to go back to learn like that you would hear initially when you first start, and you're just like, oh, whatever, that doesn't matter. But it's like it does matter. Like it makes the most. Like I remember in February, like kicking the cone drill out the back of the ring.
Yeah.
I was like, I did this when I was like 4 or 16, and that's like 10 years ago. So it's like, but stuff like that, it actually does make sense, and you do have to like do those things. It doesn't matter how far you get the ball or just to go. Like you need to be able to come back to the little technical stuff that your coaches are telling you. And so I think it's so funny that you talk about it, because I see the throwers that I talk to here. It's like, or young kids, it's like that stuff is the basics. And yes, it's the basics. It's not a magic pill, but in reality, it is the magic pill. Like you have to do the basics and you have to do them right. You do them right, you'll go far. So the formula is super simple, and people love to overcomplicate it. But it's like, I did the same thing. Like I tried to overcomplicate. Oh, I need to do this and do that. And it's like, no, you don't. You need to be able to lift, be strong, be fast, have a good technical mindset, and be able to compete well. You do all those things, you'll be a good thrower. So
Great perspective. Great perspective on that. I know it's funny because even the discus, you stepping in the bucket and shifting and all that type of stuff, and you're just like, just stay back.
Just be patient. Like a split second longer could literally add 2 feet in the shot or 10 feet in the discus. Like it makes worlds of differences. And you're like, oh, if I just push it a little bit harder, I throw my left arm, my block arm harder, like, oh, maybe it'll go. Like, no, just literally just put yourself in position, like get through the ring and just hit it as hard as you can, like in a stable manner, and it'll be fine. And do it over and over and over again. That's the biggest thing.
I feel like we said that 2,000 times today. We had a group throwing today before it got too hot, and we have some younger kids like Debbie, 8th grader, who she has amazing talent, but it's like, just find a way to throw off the 2 feet.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just laying there and be an athlete. You're an athlete.
Yeah.
Just be an athlete. Like you said, you jump 2 feet. Just
stay on 2 feet. Yeah. I think that it's so tough because you're like, you see it. You see it as a coach, it's there, and they're just like, huh? I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. And it's like, just trust me, please. Like, it will work out. You just have to, like, take a step back. And I think the funny thing, too, is, like, because I think even we get into that mindset, like, we get close to meets. I know y'all are in, like, AAU, USCTF, season right now. It's like, you're like, oh, I got a meet in 2 days. I need to see a big throw. And it's like, you don't necessarily need to see a big throw. Like, I remember, this is funny. Early indoors, my first meet this year indoors, I threw 2021. It was an indoor PR, and I was excited. It put me in a great spot. That I usually don't measure. I started measuring every day. I usually didn't at that time, and I measured on a Wednesday. Our meet was on Saturday. I measured Wednesday. I was throwing the 16, and I threw like 1790 in practice. I was like freaking out. I was like, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I kept telling myself I'll be okay. Because it was like 35 degrees outside. It was a little cold, just a little bit. But I was like, this is not good. I need to be throwing 1950 right now. Like, I was thinking of all these thoughts, but it's like, look, like that doesn't matter. Like I looked at the video, the movement was good. And I was like, that's what matters. Like, get me inside when it's 75 degrees. All right, I'll throw far. And that's what happened, So it's like taking the steps back and knowing like, okay, yes, you have a meet coming up, but if you can throw correctly now, when you get in the meet, and everything, you take a deep breath, you will be fine. And so that's like, it's like little stuff that like you learn in other sports. You're at a free throw line when you're 8 years old and you're like, oh, I need to like relax. Or your parents are telling you to chill out and you're like, I'll be fine. Yeah, you think you know it all. And it's like, you literally know nothing. And so you start to see it that way and everything gets a little bit easier.
Don't you wish you could go back and coach yourself when you were that high school?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was talking to maybe my brother or my mom like a couple weeks back, and I was like, man, I wish I could like go back to like my junior year of high school and be like, all right, eat right, keep working out more, like you'll set yourself up a little bit, just a little bit better, like, and just like poof will go away. You know, I don't need to be there long, just like a couple, like 5 seconds to say that, and then I'll be, it'll change the trajectory of everything. But you know, I wouldn't change anything right now. I'm excited of where I'm at and the journey that I've been on.
Dude, you seem very happy. Like I said earlier, you seem so ecstatic and comfortable with yourself, and that maturity of identifying who you are. One drill thing that I saw on your Instagram that I really, really like is you put a band like it looked like on a rack, and you were doing pivot drills under it.
Yeah.
So the concept of that drill is keeping weight back, staying a little bit more lower, keeping center of gravity lower.
Yeah. So I think the hard part with that, I remember, was the rack was kind of tight. So it was like my left foot would sometimes get close to the rack, but I was like, my whole goal there was like, okay, I want to feel my right knee bent and my right heel up in the air and just trying to stay low, and just like, how long can I do that without, you know, feeling pain or like, you know, every rep's consistent. And obviously don't let my head hit, you know, the band. And so that was one thing, you know, I tried to fix and try to work on. It's like, you got to learn how to stay back. You got to stay bent. You got to be able to hold that position for, you know, throw. It's a split second, but in reality, it's a lot of force on one side. So you got to practice holding that. And so, you know, that was just like random drills, you know, I try to come up with. It was a TikTok drill that I think kind of went well out there too. But, you know, I showed Dane, and he was like, yeah, I like it, you know, like continue doing that. And so I would do, there was usually from October to pretty much April-ish time, like every Wednesday I wouldn't take throws. I would just drill, and it would be doing things like that. And so that was kind of like the focus there, was just find drills that of positions where I need to work on. And that was one that was like a big one that I really wanted to work on this season, was just trying to stay down, stay back in the middle. And that drill definitely helped for that.
Is as a professional, and you're being in the Olympic trials, and you're seeing Ryan doing a dry something over there, or Kovacs doing something, I'm kind of, and I know you're in the heat of the competition, but are you kind of taking mental notes as well? Of like,
you definitely see it. Yeah. It's
what's Roger Steen doing over there? And you know,
I think that it's so funny that you asked that, because I know, like, so they have, you know, we have to get there an hour and a half before, and they have call rooms and all these different things. So I'm like, all right, I know I typically need 25 minutes to like get fully warmed up before I'm ready to go. And I'm like, wait, such and such is already warming up now, or like this person's already doing that. And you're like, wait, they have their shoes on. Do I need to put my shoes on? And it's like I don't need to worry about that, but it's like you see it and you're thinking about it. And so like there's that instance. And then like sometimes in the practice days, you'll see people, they're doing weird drills, or they're, you know, the cues that you hear the coach say. And I'm like, dang, does that make sense? And he's like, I don't know. Like, you know, it's like, you know, everybody has different ways to, there's a million ways to skin a cat, but it comes down to it's the same movement. But it's like, you definitely see it. I mean, it's funny. Like Ryan doesn't do anything that's too different. You know, he does everything similar. It just looks better than everybody else's. So it's, you know, it's not like they're doing anything crazy. But that's also something that, you know, we discuss in training. Like, you know, a lot of us shot putters were like, oh, did you see such and such do this? Or in this practice, you know, they posted, or at this meet, you saw them do that. And it's like, yeah, well, you know, it might be something you think about beforehand, but like later on you don't, you know. But so it's like little stuff, but no one does anything that's like too crazy. I would say like the funniest, we're in Idaho in Ironwood, and you'll see like how different people lift. And I think that's always really interesting. But besides that, like the drills are the drills, you know, like everybody is stemmed from some coach that came from another coach, but it all comes back down. And so like everybody's doing the same things. They just have different terminology for it. And so you don't really think too much about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But it can make it, like when you're saying that, it makes you think of high school, how easily distracted even you could kind of get.
Yeah.
The high school kids are the same way.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing that. We'll watch it.
Should I do that? Yeah.
I think that. Well, and they threw way further than me. So then that kid starts doing that.
Yeah, you start doing it, and it's like, well,
what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like that might not be what you need to do. You know, like chill out and keep trusting what we're doing. And it's like there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to believe in what you're doing. Because like, I mean, I think for us at this level, like we see people lifting, and you're like, oh, this person's doing hip snatches, or this person's doing deadlifts, or this person, they don't catch cleans, like, but they throw really far. Should we not do? And it's like, no, you can't think of it that way. You have to believe in your system, and your kids, they have to trust, like, yeah, maybe this kid throws further, but have you thought, like, maybe they've been throwing for 2 years far longer than you have, or in college it was like, why is such and such throwing really far at this part of the year? Well, maybe they plan to peak at that part of the year. Like, it's like, those are the questions that you don't think about in the moment when you see somebody, but it's like, you have to dial yourself back and think, like, look, they're doing this because of this reason, or that person's doing that because of that reason, and we're doing this for this reason, and you have to believe that.
I'm gonna think of something. So do you do much with static starts? Because I know you do your full wind and stuff, but in your training, and that's getting back to like watching Ryan do a static start, and then Peyton kind of starts more of a static kind of torque up position.
Yeah. So that's funny. That's so crazy. We were literally just talking about that. Like, we started doing statics because Ryan Krauser was actually doing statics.
Yeah.
So it's like, you think about it, but it's like, that's a staple thing that all throwers, I think, should do. Because everybody's going to wind up and throw their left arm when they first start. Like, I still do it every now and then when I'm like fatigued or whatever. So it's like, the static start, it's like, if you can throw far with just your legs, which is what you should do, like, it's very important. And so, yeah, statics are something that we integrated a little bit this year. I don't do that in my warm-ups at meets, but I still, like, I think about it, and I'll do it like as dry throws outside the ring every now and then. But yeah, there was a couple sessions where we actually tried to push those static throws a little bit, and sometimes they go well, sometimes they don't. I think it's definitely like a drilled movement that takes a lot of practice, but it's important, and some throwers do really well with it, and I think it's, like I said, it's something that everybody should kind of practice a little bit.
I think it's an off-season thing where they need to do it, and you'd be
100%.
How many high school kids don't understand how to start in a static position or want to do it? And where that's where they see you or Ryan or somebody else, or they want to offset to the right, like my guy from Italy, and be real tall. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, he's 6'7". Like,
he's huge.
Like, what the shit?
Is that offset thing? Is high school kids, are they trying to do that?
You'd be surprised. Yes. Yeah. So
really, that's all. That's funny. I mean, it's like when I was in college, I started pretty much dead center. Yeah. And then like I slowly started to move over a little bit, but like I've never thought about like I'm gonna put my right foot in the middle of the ring. Like, no chance. Like, I think I messed around it when the Krauser slide first came out. I was like, I'm just gonna try it for like a couple throws, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. But I was like, I know that's something like there's college kids that are doing it. I think I've seen a couple high school kids try it. So I feel like it's definitely funny to see, like, y'all as throws coaches are trying to teach kids the right way, the correct way to throw, and they're like, I want to put my right foot in the middle of the ring. It's like, you don't even know how to turn out the back of the ring without using your left arm. So it's like, let's dial this back a little bit.
Where they want to throw shot put like Ryan Krauser, but then turn around and throw discus like Wolfgang Schmidt and shit. And it's two different rotational movements. And
completely different, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you're like,
that's something.
Yeah, and it's mind-boggling to try to coach them in to do anything like that. But
that's where the social media, is awesome and it's great. It's out there, but these kids, it's too much for some of them because we have a great I'm going to start throwing like this kid. So for a week he's throwing like this throw, and then he's frustrated why he's not getting any better because you change your throw every week based on whoever has
every single week.
Yeah, I know.
Stick to something. You're not Ron Krauser. I mean, you're you.
Exactly.
I have to ask too, because she's new to y'all, and I'm just kind of wondering what, like, seeing her international fame and her lore, Perez, since she's been in y'all's family and stuff, that has to be pretty impressive.
She's awesome.
Someone of her caliber, in that environment. Do you watch her go out and watch her throw?
Yeah, she's like, when I first moved here, I met Sam a few times, and when I first started training with Sam, I was like, this dude's different. And then when she came here, I was like, that's a new level. Like, that's an Olympic medalist, like she's a Diamond League champ. Like Sam's great. Love Sam. This chick's different. Like, I mean, just look at this year. Like, she's the only one that's giving Val a run for her money, So it's like, I think the thing she's done, like she's power cleaned 290, like literally just like boom, power clean 290. Like she's squatted 440, she's benched 225. Like,
wow.
I mean, she's a little bit older, so she's in her prime age, but like she's done things that no regular woman I've seen train to that, you know, at weighing 185, 190 pounds. So it's like, and then she goes out and she throws 70 meters. Like, that's also insane. I remember we were at the Oklahoma meet and she throws 73. So we have a set time. We're supposed to start. All the shot putters are ready. We're ready to roll. She just throws 73 and we get delayed by like an hour because like pitchers and all WADA and all this stuff's going on. So it's like, you see that and it's like, she's not normal, you know, like that is the next, you know, realm. That is Ryan Krauser training next to you, if you want to put it in those terms. Like, and I think, you know, she doesn't speak a lot of really any English at all. So we're all just like learning on the go. You know, she's learning a little bit of English here and there. We're using the Translate app. It's like a lot of hand motions and stuff, but you know, she fits right in just because, you know, if someone's slacking in Spanish, she will tell you are slacking, you know? So it's like,
really?
just because, I mean, the first like few months, it took a little bit while for everybody to gel and mesh, but like
of course.
Now it's like, because everybody's trying to get to that level, like if you're like lifting light or if you're, you know, you got to be aggressive more, like she will let you know that. And I think that's really cool to see, and stuff like that. And so sometimes like, I think it was like a year ago, we were all sitting around eating or something, you know, we were just asking her questions using our Translate app, trying to ask. And, you know, she was explaining about like, you know, her Olympic, you know, journey and things like that. And like competing in the stadiums and all those things and telling us those things. And so it's like, you hear that and you're like, okay, this is, you know, going to the trials, one of the best things you can do as an American athlete, you know, but then you're like, you're at the Olympics, you know, you're dealing with that. And then, or you're a Diamond League champ or you're a world champ. Like, you know, those are titles no one can take from you. And you have those stories that you're able to tell. And so it's really cool to see. And, you know, just like I said, being in the same environment of her training it's awesome.
Yeah. And she's one of those people that's kind of been in this game for a long time where she's overlapped with eras where she threw with a young Sandra.
Yes.
You know, Pert. And then she was with the other girl from Cuba, Diana,
Caballeros.
Caballeros. Yeah. And they were young and overlapped, you know, so she's kind of was, when the older regime was kind of coming out, she was coming up. And like, she's been in the game for a while, man.
For a long time. Yeah. And she's been in it for a long time and at the top for a long time. I think she's been top 5 for like, probably since she's come in, you know? So I know since that 2019 World Championship year, it was like, you know, she's always been right there with everybody. So it's like, just to know that, you know, one, you've been through multiple eras, and then competing in all those big major championship events. You know, she's going to the Paris Diamond League this weekend. So it's like, you know, so it's always like if you're putting yourself in those environments and being around people that do those things, it allows you to kind of like, all right, I know I got to keep my level high if I want to one day reach that goal. And so I think that's one thing I try to tell the high school kids when I'm around them. It's like you're the best in Berks County, you know, you're the best here, or you're the best in your school. But like, when you get outside of that, there's so much more, and there's always someone better than you. So it's like, if you really, really, really want to do this, and you really want to go hit X goals or whatever that may be, like, you got to keep your intensity high, and try not to let too many distractions get in the way, because, you know, this game is tough. Like, it's not easy, but it's like, it can be easy if you keep yourself on a, you know, straight line path.
Sure. Will you go to Paris? Will you go to Olympics?
I will not go to the Olympics. No, I wish I was. I wish I was. No, it would be really cool though.
We're actually going.
We're going.
You're going. That's awesome.
Yeah,
really? That's so cool. How long are you gonna be there?
About 10 days. We're going
10 days.
About 8 days. 8 days.
Okay.
About a little over a week. So we're going to go, and, you know, this is kind of our big trip and something that kind of, you know, memories for a lifetime and stuff.
100%.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go watch the women hammer finals.
Yeah, we're going to track or the athletics for 2 days.
Okay.
The women's discus qualifications. No,
okay.
I don't know. We're going to see shot, discus, and hammer all across the board, but the hammer final, then I think either the women's qualifications or the men's qualifications.
Okay.
But the hammer final for women.
Yeah. What other, are you going to see like a bunch of other sports too?
Well, we're
trying.
We're
trying.
we're staying in Belgium because it's
Okay.
way too expensive to stay in Paris. And neither one of us has been to Europe. So we're also wanting to do tour
see
around
everything.
Belgium. We have 2 days that are, I'm a nerd, that are unscheduled that we have options. So if we decide we want to go back into Paris, buying tickets it's crazy. I joined a Facebook group. We can cut all this out. But it's like we bought tickets a long time ago, and now I realize we paid way too much money, but you didn't want to not buy them. But now, like, people are reselling them, and now some events are free because they want them to be full. So it's like that Monday or Sunday and Monday when we wake up, if we can find a ticket and catch a train into Paris, we may go watch something else.
Okay. That's awesome.
We don't want to watch basketball, or we don't want to watch I want to watch badminton. I think that would be really cool.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Watch stuff that's a little bit different. Yeah.
I want to go like see ping pong or fencing or stuff like that.
Something that's different. Yeah. That's going to be really cool. That's awesome.
So did you watch Joe Brown throw the disc?
I watched him on TV yesterday. Yeah, I was losing it. It was awesome. Like,
isn't that amazing?
It's amazing because it's like Joe Brown is someone who stuck it out longevity wise. Came from a D2, so he didn't come from a big program where he had a bunch of support. And it's like he went up there with the best of the best. Like, there was no one in that final that didn't make it or didn't throw well. Like, everybody threw well. And so given that he beat people on the last round, it's crazy. Like, it was like I was ecstatic my guy Sam made it in. Like, that's awesome. But like Joe and I, we've gone way back. Probably since, he was at Commerce. Like, we threw together a couple times when I was at Texas State. And so it's like, I knew of him. I knew he was kind of a wild guy, but I didn't know him that well back then. But then, like, the last few years, we'd see each other at different meets. And so it's like, knowing that someone like him, one, stuck it out, because it's hard. That first 1 to 3 years post-collegiately is like, you have to really question if you really want to do this. And so, he made it out, and, I think it was always cool. He went to Oklahoma. Well, this is also the crazy story. Sorry, it's a lot of tangents here.
Yeah,
we competed in Ironwood on a Thursday and a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, that Saturday was the C-level meet for World Athletics. Everybody was there throwing at it. The next day, that Sunday, he threw the world standard in Oklahoma. So it's like, and I don't even know if he posted about that or anybody knew, because I saw it and I was like, dude, you were just in Washington 8 hours ago. And you just threw the Olympic standard in Oklahoma, 8 hours later. Like, I was mind-blown because I just landed in PA and I opened my phone off the plane. I'm like, this dude just threw the Olympic standard. I just saw him 10 hours ago. Like, it was insane. And so, like, the dude grinds. He works hard. He sticks it out. And it's like, he competed with the best and he beat some really good guys. Like, he beat some of the best Olympians, people that made worlds, like guys that are really, really good NCAA champs. So it's like, I was happy for him, and I was watching it, and I was like, man, like, I'm trying to do that, So, like I said, there's 4 spots at Worlds next year. Like, dude, who knows what can happen if everything lines up on the day. Like, 2190, all right, you might just make the team. You might not, but then you might just make that team. So it's like,
you go get a newspaper of Joe Brown, you print it out, have that who's that thrower, and you take it off like your bathroom.
Who's that? Oh, I love
day,
it. Yeah.
You look at that damn shit and say, if Joe can do it, I can do it.
If Joe can do it, I can do it. I think that's something like.
Yeah. He's from where.
Yeah, I think that's something like high school kids. Anybody should see that and be like, yes, anybody can do it. Like, you don't have to go to a Power 5 school to be able to compete with the best. Or you don't have to go to have the best facilities. Like, that's just the work. Like, if you work hard, like, anything's possible. And if you trust the coaches you're with, like, you have to believe wholeheartedly in who you're working with and your team and inner circle. But like, if you do that, like, literally anything, anything is possible. So it's it was really cool to see.
And also to have the conference be comfortable in yourself to kind of have your own style, because it is a little different.
Yeah.
And that he just fasted
aligned. Yeah. It's insane. It's so crazy. It's like,
I know.
I think that sometimes, and that's like if you saw a high school kid doing it, you're like, yo, you gotta take don't do that yet. Like, you don't have that in you just yet. But it's like, he has his own style and it works. Like, when you break down his throw, he hits the positions that you want to hit. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
If you get there, I guess so. But I wouldn't teach anybody Joe's technique just yet.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
it's
cool.
all just takes one, last one, best one.
Yes, it only takes one. Last one, best one. All those sayings that we've been saying in throws for years, it's like that's literally what it was. So,
Well, brother, thank you so much, man.
100%.
Hey, keep chasing that dream. Keep
Will
doing
do.
what you're doing. You're inspiring the youth. But dude, just continue making a name for yourself. Chopping away. Tell Dane, everybody at Garage Strength, thank you. Keep getting that content out because y'all are teaching everybody. We learn from what y'all are doing up there. Y'all are kind of the hub of throwing education for the U.S. and kind of what y'all are doing. So keep sharing that knowledge and tell Dane I want to meet him in Paris. So
all right, I gotta let him know that for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all. Y'all be good. Thank you.
Safe travels to Paris.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
We'd like to thank Taman for being on. I just love his story of chasing this dream and being with the right group of people in the right situation to kind of cultivate him. And if you go back to look to our first episode, with him, 4 years ago, it was maybe a little reserved, cautious, kind of like not comfortable in his own skin a little bit, and kind of, this is a new adventure for me. It's a little unknown. And now 4 years later, he's probably his best version of himself. And I think that's what everybody can kind of learn from this situation in this episode is sometimes too, getting out of that comfort zone and maybe going to another location where the grass is a little bit greener and developing and trusting that situation, you can prosper and go out and be successful for sure. And then just turning himself into a world-class shot putter, man, tremendous. Just it's gotten stronger, hit a better PB, but not like a couple centimeters. Like I think he threw 1990 his senior year at Texas State, and now he's 21.18. That's a huge climb, and it could constantly, like you said, he went from 10th to 9th from 2021 to what he did.
That's great. It wasn't a huge, big, like you said, difference in the distance, but I loved all the things you said about the way you trained. Everything, and then focusing. God, there's so much, but focus on what you do, trust what you do, how he planned out when his best throw is, how many warm-ups he needs to take. I mean, and that's high-level stuff, and we want our high school kids to be that way, but that's what professional, that's
what I think too is if you're a high school athlete listening to this is to get a game plan, and whatever that game plan is, and if an official says all right, 2 trips to the ring, then you should have a plan for 2 trips to the ring. If the official says you got 15 minutes to warm up, then plan to have a warm up for 15 minutes based on the volume and the size of the competition, and to understand that, and also too the simple fact that just simple movement is a good movement, and learning your body and how to transfer weight and all that type of stuff. Because if you watch, his movement is very simple. It's very simple. He articulates very, very well, but he's going to get over his left. He's going to get his right foot in the middle. He's going to keep his weight back. He's going to get that hip through and stay on the ball as long as he can. And that's basically what he's trying to do. And it's worked out to 21.18 and, making the U.S. trials. And I think in 2028, like you said, he's going to be on again. He might be the front of the face of the U.S. throwing for sure.
On that technical stuff, he kept saying things like being stable.
Yeah.
Stable. Just be stable. Be stable. So awesome. All right. We want to thank our sponsors for this new season 8, episode 120. Texas Track and Field Coach Association. Go to ttfca.org to check out all the things going on, how the 2024 season's ended, and moving forward into the indoor season in 2025. If you need some implements, 4throws.com, quality implements priced right. Use the code TalkingThrows10. Get 10% off. They've got training tools, anything that you need, a new updated website that looks really cool. So go check those guys out. They are great to work with. NTX Timing, like Harn Hornback and his crew, manage your meet data from the start to the finish. Summer season's kind of over, but if you're some coaches planning your meets for next year, reach out to him, especially if you're in the DFW area, Here, let them run your meets. They do the work while you get to coach your athletes and are committed to excellence. Big Frogs of Colleyville for any embroidery that you need. Go to Big Frogs Colleyville at Colleyville at bigfrog.com.
Hello, Talkin' Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talkin' Throws Texas Style.
And then Lifting DFW, we've got our mobile lifting station. All of our people we interview talk about the importance of weightlifting and strength and Olympic lifting, and we got you on that. So just reach out, go check out that on our website, and then look at the Throwing Factory page. We've got, I'm throwing things around here. We've got, here's my TTFCA pin. Is the end of it. We've got, lessons, FaceTime lessons, in-person lessons. We've got links to our other coaches, just all the things on that website. Check out how well our kids are doing and all that stuff. And then if you like our episodes, share them. And we got some people we've talked to years ago that are Olympians or just
doing
like
Mr.
Johnson here, or just doing great things. So go back and look at those and share those with people so we can get more throwing out there. Because you talked about how, we're not those runners on the track out there, but there's still some good action going on in those rings. And our YouTube channel.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.